Corky's Barbecue and Simply Delicious Catering. She's going to show you a PowerPoint, which is shows exactly what she does, what the company does. Catering is a big, big, big business. And a lot of people associate Corky's with barbecue, and she's going to show you an entirely different side of that business. So Yolanda, take it away.
Hi. So yes, I am Yolanda Wood, and I am the general manager of our catering division for Corky's Barbecue. I'm sure everybody's been to a Corky's. Has everybody been to a Corky's lately? Like in the last few months? We've done a whole remodel on all of our restaurants, so if you haven't been there recently, go and check them out because they look really fantastic. Corky's was founded 34 years ago by Don Peltz, a Memphian here, and he owned a couple of different businesses. He was in the furniture business first, and he opened his first restaurant called the Public Eye, and it was actually on Overton Square. That's kind of where like Memphis Pizza Cafe is now. And it had some barbecue, and they did some caterings and stuff, and he wanted to be he didn't feel that Overton Square was kind of the heart of the city. So he was looking for properties out east, and he found the property there at between White Station and Estate. And that's where he opened the first Corky's restaurant. And his biggest thing was that he wanted a drive-through. Like that was like his, he was like, whatever happens, I want a drive-through. And so he literally just cut a hole in the wall and started selling barbecue out the window. And now, actually, the drive-through windows are usually more, they do more business than inside of the restaurant. So for about 22, 23 years, the restaurants kind of functioned as, standalone restaurants. And we started doing some caterings here, caterings there. Didn't really know kind of what we were doing. We would just kind of pack all of our food in pans and take them and set them up, in shafers and just kind of do our thing. And it was with our relationship with the Memphis Zoo, actually, that we started doing large number caterings. So we started doing 1,000, picnic for 1,000, picnic for 2,000, picnic for 5,000, 10,000, and as kind of that business grew, as kind of the zoo business grew, we also grew our catering business. And so the restaurants and everything kind of came out of Poplar first, that, like our home base there. And then we started doing more and more caterings in Cordova and Collierville, and, got them little catering trucks, and they do kind of house parties and graduations and stuff like that. And then about 7 years ago, again, from our relationship with the zoo, the director of events over there, Tim, he was like, you are my favorite people. You are my favorite caterers to work with. Because catering is a hard business, and anybody can really call themselves a caterer. You get a business license and some insurance, and you could be a caterer, But not a lot of people do it well. And Tim was like, you really need to get into different types of catering, because not everybody wants barbecue at their fancy wedding. And that's what they did mostly back then was weddings and picnics. So he was like, you already got most of our picnic business, I'd love for you to have most of our wedding business. So we kind of dabbled a little bit, and our director of operations, Amir, his daughter was actually getting married, and he was like, well, let's try it. Let's try a pasta station. Let's try, some other stuff. And they did, and it kind of worked out. So they started doing a little bit here, a little bit there. And 7 years ago, on November 11th, 2011, we opened Simply Delicious Caterings, and we had a business, like a storefront over at Poplar and 240 between the Olive Garden and Starbucks. So where like Nothing Bundt Cakes was, or is. That used to be our catering facility, and it was literally like half the size of this room. And so within the first month, we outgrew that space. we kept everything very separate because we didn't know if Simply Delicious failed, we didn't want people to think that Corky's was failing, you know, so we kept it very different. We didn't talk about barbecue catering. We kept everything, you know, we're really fancy. We didn't want people to think that we were cooking, you know, high-end plated dinners, you know, on the pit at Poplar. You know, we didn't want people to think that. So we kept everything very, very separate. And then about 5 years ago, this is my 6th year, so it was about a year in, and we'd already bought another facility on Brookhaven Circle, and we were running basically 2 businesses out of the same facility and had like 2 P&Ls and 2 managers, and it was just so difficult. And I was like, you know, everybody loves Simply Delicious. Why do we have to call, you know, why do we have to be so separate? Why don't we just be one company? And they were like, well, yeah, let's do it. You know, like so now the company is called Simply Delicious and Corky's Full Service Catering. So that is our catering division of Corky's. So we get to do a lot of fun stuff. We get to do lots of fun picnics with Corky's, so like these huge numbers, but we get to do like really styled, fun, intricate events with Simply Delicious. So I'm gonna go to our website real quick and I'm gonna show you quick video so you can kind of see what we do. You probably are familiar with what a barbecue catering looks like, but maybe not. Chances are if you've gone to a wedding in the last few years, you've probably gone to one of our weddings. We have very high reviews on Wedding Wire and The Knot. We're always voted one of the best of in Memphis. We've been best caterer in Memphis by Commercial Appeal 7 out of the last 8 years. Let's see. Got a video gallery. We just redid the website, so. So let's look at a wedding. Most people are interested in the weddings. How do I make this big? Design is my thing, audio visual is not. I usually subcontract that. All right. Yeah. It's not going to bother you if it's not big, huh? Yeah, just go this way. It'll be fine. It'll be good. You can see. You'll get the gist.
When you call Simply Delicious, you might be calling for food, and yeah, it does start with food, but when you call Simply Delicious, you're getting so much more than that. We take great food. We have amazing culinary staff, like bar none, unbelievable. And we add to that the most amazing presentation, innovative, creative. We have teams of people that are literally analyzing and reanalyzing and analyzing again of how we can make this look even better for our client, because we listen to our client. From start to finish, we are walking with our clients through every single step of the process. So it's not so much that someone calls us up and they say, we're having a wedding and we need food, and we give them a menu and then we say, okay, we'll see you that night. No, we walk every step with our clients. Because tonight's only going to happen one time for our bride and groom. So we have to make sure that her vision comes through. The details are so important when planning wedding catering. It's one of those things that, as the caterer, we have to think about how every food item that we're presenting connects with the bigger picture. How does it connect with the venue and where it's going to be located? How does it connect with the flowers, and do we need flowers on the passing trays? And so it's really important for us to take those things into consideration so that we can make the whole experience perfect. It is so exciting to be able to watch this event really from the beginning when it happens, when they walk in the door and they're so excited. It's like a symphony going, and I watch all of my staff and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and the bride and groom walked in and they're like, oh my God, and it's so much fun. The whole night's fun. We love doing weddings. We get to be an important part of the bride and groom's special day, and that is why we do what we do.
So it's much different than a barbecue catering. So that was a wedding at the Columns here in Memphis a few years ago. And that was actually the second wedding we did for that family. And we just recently did a rehearsal dinner for their son. So that's kind of the cool thing about doing caterings, and particularly off-site caterings, because you get to follow kind of your clients, you know, whether it's a private client or that's doing a wedding or anniversaries or birthdays. You get to kind of follow them and get to know them, and just whenever they're planning on doing something, they just kind of give you a call. We really focus on our relationships with our clients. We do business with most of the major businesses in Memphis. I mean, we do the FedEx St. Jude Classic, where the title sponsor is FedEx, and we do all of their catering for that. We do like their corporate cabana and their employee tent. We do most of the top tier FedEx planners. We do their events here, and our one planner in particular that we do all of her Memphis events that are off-site. She won Planner of the Year from like Event Solutions, and all 3 of her events that she submitted were events that we did with her. We really focus on maintaining those relationships with our clients. And we're going we're going outside of Memphis a lot now too. Right now I've got some people in Phoenix doing the Waste Management Open, a golf tournament that's going on there. We've got 4 of our event chefs and 4 of our event leads out there. We have some people in Puerto Rico right now doing some relief catering with a company out of Athens, Georgia, one of our friends that we've met through an organization called the LCA, which is Leading Caterers of America. And we will be sending people out to Augusta for the Wheels Up Augusta Open. So we've done weddings in Little Rock, and we do caterings in New Orleans. You know, we are just really going anywhere our clients want us to do. We're trying to figure out ways to do it for them. I did in October, I went to DC and with the Memphis Convention Visitors Bureau, and it was, we did a whole event there to attract meeting planners to Memphis, and we were the first people that they chose from Memphis, and we went and we did a whole catering there. It's not like we didn't take all the food there. We actually partnered with a catering company that we knew, like from a relationship we have through the LCA and the ICA, which is the International Catering Association, and we shipped our food to them, and they made room for us in their kitchen, and we sent a couple of chefs, and then paid some of their employees to work for us, and we did a whole event for 500 people in DC. You know, so it's a pretty exciting industry to get into now. The great part about it is that, again, not a lot of people do it well. So if you kind of dig in and you really, you know, learn about it and join a lot of these organizations, the ICA, the LCA is an invitation only, but International Caterer, that's an organization that you can just look up right now and start getting involved in if you're interested in catering. They do tons of scholarships for conventions and programs that they do. They do like work study programs also. So if you're interested in doing catering events, we focus on the food, but we really have gotten more into event management and event planning, like total event management, which, you know, when it's all said and done, when you're doing an off-site catering, it doesn't matter if we made the cake. If the cake falls over, we're going to take care of it, you know? It doesn't matter if we did the pipe and drape or the lighting. If it doesn't work, we're the only people there. So if we're the only people there, we decided that we needed to start controlling more of those things. So really the only thing that we don't do, because I don't want to get into the wedding cake game. Like, I don't want to transport them. I think it's like, we had to transport a wedding cake once, and it was like the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever witnessed in my life. Like, literally, they were going like 5 miles an hour down the street. It was, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how wedding cake people transport those cakes all day. But we do everything from, coordinate valet. We do all of the tables, chairs, plating, lighting, entertainment, whatever we can do to make our event fantastic, we'll go ahead and take care of that for our clients. We typically do most of that for our corporate customers because it doesn't matter if it's FedEx or International Paper or Nike. They might have a planner that's a corporate planner that's based out of another city. And so they'll, call whoever's here in Memphis and say, who to use. And, a lot of the time they'll say use Simply Delicious because they'll take care of all of it for you. And so when you're working with a planner who might not be based out of Memphis, it's better for them to have one point person since they're not here, so we just make sure that we take care of all of that for them. And of course, we don't take care of anything without getting paid for it. So we mark up all the services that we contract for people and we manage it. So that part of our business, rentals and third-party vending is what we call it, is a huge part of our business. And that really is, it's no cost to us. There's no hard costs other than labor in that money. And so it's been, we are more profitable on subcontracting chairs than we are with most of our food items. Pork, nobody makes more money off of pork than we do, but we really, profit-wise, we're getting more and more into the event management portion of it, and we see it as just as important. We want to offer a great product, we want to offer great food, but it's the total event. You can serve not so great food, but if the service and the atmosphere and everything was great, our customers typically don't mind. We want to serve a great product, but we want to have a great event. And so all the points of the event are what's important. Was the lighting great? Was the music great? Was everything on time? Was everything smooth? If any issues occurred, did we take care of them quickly? We just have a fun time. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was how we do some of the logistics of our caterings, particularly like the huge ones. The largest non-barbecue catering we've done was for 10,000, and it was out at the hangar at FedEx for a FedEx christening of a new plane. And we did, it was like in the summer, so we did like burgers and dogs and cotton candy and popcorn and corn dogs and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. You don't really know how hard it is to grill 10,000 burgers until it's like 110 degrees outside on the black, flat top of the runway. But we did it, and we had a fun time doing it, and it was very successful. But most of those large number caterings that we do are barbecue caterings. And another portion of our Corky's business that you may not know about is we do have a food manufacturing facility here in Memphis where we package and ship our products as well as other businesses' products. So Williams-Sonoma, so if you order like cookies or cake or any ready-to-eat products from Williams-Sonoma, those things are packaged and shipped here from us in Memphis. A couple of years ago, Williams-Sonoma actually, when we started packaging for them, asked us if we wanted to do, like cookies and stuff like that, and we're like, no, we don't want don't do any cookies, but we'll find you a great person who does. And we actually help negotiate a contract for Frost Bake Shop here and Williams-Sonoma. So again, that's a local Memphis business. If you're getting stuff from Williams-Sonoma, ready-to-eat products, that was made, packaged, and shipped from here in Memphis. So we're really proud of that. We also import croissants from France and sell them to Walmarts. So if you go into there's like 600 Walmarts here in the U.S. If you go into their bakery section and buy a package of croissants, those are packaged and shipped from here in Memphis, and we imported them straight from France. We package and ship like Sinclair products, so those are a lot of like ready-to-eat salads that go, a lot of like caterers and hotels use those for buffets, like the potato salad and macaroni salad, stuff like that. And it's just kind of growing more and more each day. We also have a huge business on QVC, so we sell a lot of our Corky's products on QVC, plus anything that's in line with our business model. So we may not sell it in the restaurant, so like a pork tenderloin, but it's still pork. So they'll sell those on QVC. We actually set a world record last year for the most ribs sold in one day. And we sold 1.2 million slabs of ribs in one day. And then we sold them, and then we had to package and ship them. So it was like everybody, when I'm talking about it was like everybody and their friends came out to food manufacturing and were packing boxes. It was quite the scene. A really cool part about Corky's and Simply Delicious, you saw Trisha up there, and she is Dawn, the founder's daughter, and she heads up the catering division. Barry, his son, heads up the restaurant division, and it's all family owned and operated. So it's a lot bigger than most people think. They still look at it as a very small business. They're like, oh, it's a small family-run business, but we have about 500 employees here in Memphis, so we're one of the largest privately owned businesses here in Memphis. And again, we're really focusing on bringing a great Memphis experience to people's events and being able to then, that same feeling that you get when you walk into a restaurant. We want people that when they go to one of our events, we want them to have a great experience. Or when they get a box in the mail and they open that box, we want them to have a great experience. So we're really trying to bring this great feeling that we have here in Memphis, this great Memphis vibe, the Southern hospitality vibe, kind of everywhere. So we're able to do that in our restaurants, off-site, and then now through our package and shipping program. And being able to like send our employees and do events in other cities, that's just taking it to like a whole new level. It's pretty exciting. So that's it. That's all I got today. Do you have any questions?
Yolanda, before you take questions, employment opportunities.
Tons of employment opportunities now. January, February, March, everybody knows in the hospitality industry, not so great months, but starting April, things kind of kick right back up. So restaurants will need people, catering events will definitely need people, our food manufacturing, our logistics and supply chain, those all summer long are just cranking 24 hours a day. Literally our food manufacturing warehouse will operate 24 hours a day. During the summertime, during like peak picnic season. And I think I didn't get to that part. The food manufacturing, when I do huge events like 20,000, 30,000 people, I order all of that food from us. So we don't prepare it at our catering facility. We actually order it from food manufacturing and they deliver it to us. So that's one way because if you ever drive by my facility on Brookhaven Circle, it's not that big. It's like 2,000, 4,000 square feet or something like that. But we're able to cook, I'm able to order, 10,000 pounds of pork delivered to me at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, because we have this food manufacturing facility. We're also getting into manufacturing some of our canapes and appetizers, we're spending our off season, so January, February, March, we're spending that time in our kitchens cooking, and then we take that to our food manufacturing. They like vacuum seal it and freeze it for us, and then we're ordering our food products from ourselves. So like our macaroni and cheese bites, like everybody loves those on events, but we'll go through, we'll make 1 million this year, 2 million probably macaroni and cheese bites. So we are literally, for 2 weeks in February, that's all we're doing in our kitchen is just making macaroni and cheese bites. And so we'll be able to order that from ourselves once a week for our events for that week. So again, it's pretty exciting. Like, it's always like, there's always like a new opportunity or a new way to doing something, or just like a new way to kind of rework something. And it's, again, since we are kind of owner operated, we make things happen very quickly. There's not a whole lot of, we got to go through all these different people. If we have an idea, we go to Trish or Barry or Andy and just say, hey, this is something that I want to do. And they're like, oh, that's a good idea, let's do it. Or, nah, let's try that later. But they usually will let us do, really, if it seems pretty good, if we have a good plan, they let us go through with it. Like the QVC stuff, that came from one of our store managers, Jimmy, who's actually like the QVC guy now. Like, he was like, why don't we sell on QVC? And they were like, well, we don't know anything about selling on QVC. Why don't you find out about it? So he did, and like that's what he does full time now, is that he sells Memphis on QVC, which is a pretty cool job, I think. So employment opportunities, just go to Corky's Barbecue, corkysmemphis.com, or sdcmemphis.com, and go under employment, and just click on that and you can fill out an application online. So servers, bartenders, event coordinators, cooks, chefs, fun stuff.
One of the interesting things about this business is that they maintain a very active on-call list. Because the catering business is not every day, every afternoon, every night. And some events are bigger than others. We heard Yolanda say that she deals with thousands of people sometimes. So maybe you're interested, or
yeah, and it's definitely, we pick up shifts. Like, we don't schedule our event staff. We have we're using a program right now that's actually going to change pretty soon, but has anybody used hot schedules before? A lot of restaurants use them. Yeah. So we I like it, but we're actually going to something new. It's called Nowsta. It's a new company. And that is another thing that's very cool. Like, we are working with a lot of people that are developing programs. Like these guys, Nowsta, they're a labor management system, and they've partnered with the LCA, with the leading caterers, and are asking us, like, what do you need? Because there's not a lot of, again, Hot Schedules is made for restaurants. It wasn't made for catering at all. Like, so it does work, but it doesn't really work for what we need. And these guys, literally, I sat in a room with them for 2 hours and said, this is what I need from my labor management system. And they built it out for us. You know, we're working our catering software called Caterees. It's like the leading catering software. A lot of hotels use it and stuff like that. But we're in the room with developers telling them, this is exactly what I need from your program. And they're responding to us. So if I can't, like, whatever type of hospitality you're going into, I would say that the most important thing is that you have to make connections with people, and you have to maintain those relationships. When you're going to conferences, when you're going to mixers, stuff like that, you never know who you're going to bump into. And maintaining those relations, meeting people is one thing, but maintaining the relationship is something else. So you got to be in the right room with the right people, but then you got to maintain that relationship. So with social media and stuff like that, maintaining relationships is super easy. You have to be a multitasker. Awesome that now our phones can do, like, I know that all you guys like grew up with like smartphones and stuff, but I didn't. But you can literally just send yourself reminders on, like, you know, you can type up emails and send them for future deliveries and stuff like that, just to keep in contact with people and keep that, because all you want is, you want that client to immediately think about you when they need you. Like, they don't, and for us, what I tell, like, my event coordinators and my event producers is, it doesn't matter if they don't think Simply Delicious. I want them to think Curry. I want them to think Christina. I want them to think Ashley. It doesn't matter if they don't think about me. I want them to have that personal relationship with people. And that is by far the most important thing, is maintaining the relationships with people. So whatever mixers, whatever organizations you can get into, I would really suggest you get into those, because there is no way that we would be where we are in 7 years with Simply Delicious if it wasn't for the relationships that we have through LCA and ICA. It's no question. Like, that is how we learned everything. We kind of thought we knew what we knew. We thought we knew catering, but we didn't know anything. We really, even though we were doing catering for like 25 years, we really didn't know anything about catering until we started working with these other people. So, come and work with us.
Questions?
Yes.
How did you start working for Simply Delicious?
Well, I got out of school. I graduated from the University of Memphis with an education degree, and I taught for a couple years. And you know, I'm just not a teacher. Like, I just knew, like, I just did not want to go into a classroom every day. I might have been able to do it with, like, college and stuff like that, but high school was not. I tried high school, I tried middle school, and I tried elementary school. It wasn't me. And I have a lot of friends who are teachers, so, like, I knew that's not what I wanted to do. And when I was in school, you know, I bartended a lot and stuff, so I was like, well, I gotta do something, I gotta pay the rent. So I started working at, it's called Tower Center now, so it was the Tower Room. It's up on Clark Tower, it's like the 34th floor up there. And they did banquets and events, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And just kind of kept doing, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. I started working with a restaurant here in Memphis, Owen Brennan's, and I was their private dining manager, and I increased their sales a lot, and was being very successful there. And our chef actually was recruited by Corky's to be the first chef for Simply Delicious. And he, his name was Scott Delorme, and he called me and was like, you know, I think you're gonna, like, you really need to come and just, like, talk to Trisha. Like, you and Trisha are, like, cut from the same cloth. You guys will love each other. Like, you really should just talk to her. And she called me, like, on a Wednesday night, and we talked for 3 hours on the phone. Like, it was an instant connection with her, and I came in the next day, like, literally came in the next day to meet her in person, and she was like, do you want to go meet a bride with me? I was like, okay. And I sat down with the bride, and I ended up talking. I didn't know anything about Simply Delicious. I didn't know anything about Corky's, but I was able to sit down with the bride and just talk about her wedding and see what she kind of wanted. And Trish was like, you know, you're it. We're going to be a team together. And I've been doing it ever since, and it's been awesome.
You talked about catering for a wedding planner. You said she was known. Who was that?
We do, corporate planners or wedding planners?
Wedding planners.
In Memphis, we have tons of different
I'm not
planners
sure.
that we
You
work
said you
with.
just talked about this one specific one. You said,
I don't know what I've said,
I'm
to be honest with you.
sorry. I'm sorry.
We, maybe some weddings other places.
I think it was in Memphis.
Well, we have done some high-profile weddings here in Memphis. When you do high-profile weddings, they make you sign confidentiality contracts. So you can't talk about them. And a lot of them you can't even, like, say, like, unless they publish it, you can't talk about it. So we've recently done, like, we did a Halloween party for the Grizzlies, which was really fun. We got to do a lot of cool stuff. And they kind of called last minute, and we kind of threw that one together, which was kind of, it's always, like, fun to me, like, when someone, it's it's fun and like nerve-wracking at the same time when someone calls like on a Thursday for like a Monday party. Monday parties are the worst because we're just getting over the weekend, and then you know you've got to have the kitchen prepping even though it was like a busy Friday and Saturday. You got to make them come in on Sundays and stuff like that. But we do a lot. I mean, we do a lot of stuff for some pretty well-known people here in Memphis, and because we maintain such great relationships with our clients, we don't name names.
Don't you cater the Grizzlies barbecue tent down in Memphis in May?
We have.
So those of you that have been in the tent, if you think the Grizzlies are cooking their own barbecue, you're mistaken.
Yeah, we're bringing it to them. Yeah, but it is definitely a lot of fun. Weddings are a completely different animal than any other events. They're so tied up in like emotions, and you know, you're really, you know, trying to make somebody's like dreams come true, and that is a tall order, you know. And if you have a great relationship with them and you build a great relationship, you typically get a good result. If you don't have a connection with that bride and that family, you don't get a great result from it, that I've found. Particularly in the weddings that we don't do a lot of kind of mid-range. If we do weddings, we do a high dollar wedding, and if somebody's paying, you know, $25,000, $30,000 for their food portion of their wedding, not their whole wedding, just their food portion, the expectations are very high, and you need to be able to deliver on those. So we go through like great lengths with weddings to make sure they're like just what they want. Like when we get an inquiry from a wedding come in, the very first thing we do is like, we call it stalking. We stalk. We go on Facebook, we go on Pinterest, we go on their Instagram, we find out who they are, we find out what they like. We go through all of their Pinterest because they've already got a wedding board. We know, you know. So when you get in with the bride, you're proposing stuff that they've already said that they wanted. You know, so you're creating like an instant kind of connection, and then you're tied to your phone for 8 months with them. You know, texting a lot. Again, your phone is going to be like the best thing that you have because you can do a lot of work on your phone. But texting people and like sending people pictures of, oh, I saw this, you know, and that makes me think of you and stuff like that. So weddings are probably the most, you would think that they weren't that difficult because they're usually very like kind of straightforward with menus. Like they pretty much everybody wants like beef tenderloin and some shrimp. Like that's like a wedding menu normally, beef tenderloin, shrimp. In Memphis, now what's funny is, you know, when we started catering, like the guy from the zoo, Tim, was like, nobody wants barbecue at their fancy wedding. We serve barbecue at all of our fancy weddings now. We do. We've turned it into something else. We turned it into something called a barbecue teenie. I think I might have a video about it. Let's see. Do you guys want to watch it? If you're bored of me, I'll leave. It's the end of my day, so I might like just go off on tangents. Here we go. It's a little 34 seconds. So we sell this at all of our high-end weddings. So the reason that people didn't want to serve barbecue at their weddings is it's messy, but we took it out of the bun and we that was in a little mason jar. We also put them in martini glasses or little bamboo cones or boats or whatever, and people can eat it with a fork, and it's very easy to eat. And again, it's our core product, so our profitability in it is incredible. But you've taken something, again, for a Memphis bride who has a lot of out-of-towners, you're able to offer them barbecue in a way that can fit in with their vision of their wedding. Not a lot of people want, you know, big sloppy barbecue, but they might want to serve barbecue in some way, and this is a great way to do it.
What's your biggest challenge?
As a caterer, It changes, and that's probably a larger question. It's different. Our biggest challenge every day is temperature of food. Like time and temperature is probably the biggest thing. There's not a lot of focus on food safety in the catering industry, which when I started catering and particularly doing offsite catering, that was something that I was like, what? Like, you're not making people like temp all this stuff, you know? So that is probably our biggest challenge, is making sure that our food is food safe. As an operator, that's our biggest challenge. As somebody who loves events, and I started kind of in sales and stuff, the biggest challenge for sales really is competing, and we're off-site. Again, we don't have a venue. We're 100% off-site. Is competing with some of these on-site things, like we can't do anything at, the Memphis Country Club. They don't allow off-site caterers there, and we have a lot of clients who want to do stuff with us there. And making sure that we're constantly reviewing all the venues in Memphis and making sure we're on their lists. January is a big time for that, so we literally spend probably two straight weeks just contacting venues and saying, do you have a recent copy of our certificate of insurance? Because we have to have a certificate of insurance filed at each venue and so we're able to cater there. So we spend 2 weeks just going down our list and just making sure that we have copies of everything for them. So those are probably the two biggest ones, just making sure that we're able to cater in places. And then for me, it's the quality of our food, making sure that we're serving safe food. Because we do it sometimes with no running water. There's no running water, no electricity. We literally have gone out and built, kitchens in the middle of, a runway, out on the runway at the airport or in, a field or whatever it is. So making sure that we're serving safe food under like extreme circumstances.
You mentioned that last year in your last year's video. Have you made any strides? Because you mentioned that you were looking on ways to make food more safe.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a guy here in Memphis who has a patent on, it's called a road case, and his name is Carson. His last name is Carson. But it's a self-contained, it's like he does like that rodizio, like Brazilian style meat. So he has like these spinning things also. We actually use him a lot for catering. Like we'll bring him along and have him featured as one of our stations for people. But he is working on these mobile food lines, basically. They look very much like a food line. And they have the ability to keep things hot and cold. I don't know. I have a picture of it in my phone. But if you look him up, it's like Carson Rodizio. And he's got the patent on like the spinny things that you put on your grills. But he's working on these food cases that would be battery operated. Because again, sometimes we don't have electricity. So they would be battery operated, looking into ways to make them solar powered for cooling, because we in Memphis have the hardest time keeping things cold. It's pretty easy to keep things hot when it's 114 degrees outside. It's not so easy keeping things cold, and it's not like you can carry around thousands of pounds of ice with you. We've got to think of different ways to keep things cold. We have a couple of refrigerator trucks, which is good, but you also, when you're doing off-site catering, you want to pack as light as you can, because you're packing up, hundreds of thousands of pieces of equipment and food into a truck, and you want to make sure that it all comes back, like the food gets eaten, but all the equipment comes back. So one of our biggest obstacles there is, when do we send out, because also with the refrigerator truck, you don't I don't want all my food refrigerated. You know, I need to have some of it needs to be hot. So sometimes we have to send 2 trucks. And then how do you logistically make that work? And who's going to drive all of them? Because everybody needs to have insurance and stuff like that. But we purchased some refrigerator trucks. We're looking into these mobile road cases. And I really hope that I really do hope that we make some strides with food safety this year, because that always like weirds me out. Like, I know that I'm thinking about it all the time. I don't know if everybody is, you know, but I know that I am. Like, all of my people have thermometers. All of my people, and we do concessions also, so they're used to like the health department coming on site and temping stuff. But when you do a wedding, the health department's not coming out there. You know, they don't come out and make sure that people are serving, you know, food safe food. So the only person you have maintaining those standards is the person on site. And I don't know, I mean, I think we have a lot of good catering companies, and I know a lot of the owners, but, you know, when it's a Saturday night and you got more than one event, you don't have the best people all the time. So, you know, that's one of our selling points is that we are a larger company and we have the resources, and, you know, we have training programs for our people, and all of my event staff, all of my event leads are ServSafe certified. They're all licensed and bonded, so I don't send them into people's homes. Like, I don't send people into people's homes without our insurance covering them, you know. So those are things that's a selling point that we have over some people, and that's probably why we do a lot of corporate business. We do a lot more corporate business than we do personal business, because corporations like that.
What else for Yolanda? Questions, comments, observations? Who needs a job?
Yeah. I've got some business cards. So go to our website, take a business card, email me. Even if you just want to like come and check out an event, you know, see if you like it. It's definitely like the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm a pretty smart person, and Trish has a PhD. Like, we say that all the time, like, we're smart people, we got to be able to figure this stuff out. And I'm telling you, it forces my brain, it like problem solves differently than it did 6 years ago, because I mean, anything can happen. And you don't have any resources, you know, you got your phone.
Do you have a LinkedIn?
You know what's funny? I don't have a LinkedIn. It is funny that I don't have a LinkedIn, but you know what? I'm not really looking for another job. I'm a lifer. That.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm kind of a lifer. Yeah. So, but I don't have a LinkedIn. People say that I do need one of those. Maybe on my vacation I'll set one up.
I got one more thing, then we'll let everybody go. I was gonna ask you privately, but I'll do it in public.
Okay.
You mentioned the Convention and Visitors Bureau took you to DC.
Yes.
On the face of this, it appears to me that it'll be a lot cheaper to hire a DC caterer,
Correct.
because they had to front the bill for your transportation
Oh yeah.
and your room and board.
Yes.
But evidently, and correct me if I'm wrong, you brought some kind of a Memphis mojo to this event,
Correct.
and that's what they were looking for.
Yeah. We actually won an award too. We won like best like tablescape thing, because Memphis Convention, if you don't know anybody, and I don't know what everybody's like plans are, but you got to get to know you have some of these people and go to chamber meetings. They have Memphis Convention Visitors Bureau sponsors breakfast once a month. You know, and you go and you meet with them and you see who's touring in town, see who's coming into town. But yeah, like they could have, you know, they could have done the same thing that we did in DC. And what I did was found people who are in the organizations that we're in, and we worked together to produce this event. And they could have done the same thing, but yeah, they took care of all that stuff for us because they wanted to people to experience Memphis.
DC has more than North Carolina barbecue.
Yes.
so they probably wanted something different.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Okay, let's hear for Yolanda.
Thanks, guys.